Hello, everybody. It is Monday, May 4th, 2020. It is a great day to be a junior Potter. And if you haven't seen Mr. Hoffman's email from Friday about the end of the year things, this will be the last week that we'll be having graded content being pushed out to you to make sure that we wrap everything up before we get to the final end of the year events here. The end is in sight. Now, what that doesn't mean is that doesn't mean that there won't be stuff next week that you are required to do, as there is some essential content still being done to make sure that you cover all the things that you need to advance into 8th grade. So make sure you check all that stuff from your teachers. But it is the last of the graded work that's going to go into Power School this week. So make sure you finish off strong there. End is in sight. Before we dive into what we've got going on for today's stuff, let's wrap up what we did last week with our symbiosis videos. I've got them brought up here, and I just want to go through what each one was real quick, because we did have some questions about some of these, or maybe some questionable things for some of these. The first one, between the tiger shark and the turtle, a lot of you put predation, which is a great view of how predation worked. It's also competition, because they're competing to see which one lives and which one dies in that case. The next three, the sharks and the jack, the shark mackerel, and the shark and the suckerfish, those are all examples of commensalism, because the fish don't really the sharks don't really benefit by the fish's interactions with them. The fish are getting everything to them. Now, there were some other answers that I accepted. Like, for example, the jack and the shark, I accepted things like competition going on, because of you thought they were competing over the fish because they hunted together. I accepted mutualism in some cases because of how you phrased it. If you phrased it correctly in the fact that what you said was mutualism, I usually gave you the benefit of the doubt because it's hard to maybe interpret some of the videos all the time. So there was a little bit of leeway with those things. The hammerhead and the barberfish, that was mutualism because the barberfish groomed the sharks, and the barberfish basically ate what it was grooming, so it was a win-win for both of them. There are no actual sharks, Kyle. I'm talking about sharks. Okay. The day 2 stuff, we have the sharks and the humans. Now, this one you could have interpreted a little bit differently depending on how you looked at it.
Everybody out there in class.
You love everybody out there in class?
Yeah.
That's nice, Blakey. Here, you want to get on the actual video then? Wave to him. Okay. This will go out tomorrow. I said, the sharks and the humans, this could have been competition, this could have been mutualism. It all depended on how you worded your answer, is how I looked at it. The fish and the isopods and the mite and the humans, that's clip 2 and clip 5. Those were both examples of parasites, because those are pretty nasty-looking parasites. The whale and barnacle is another example of commensalism. Since so many people got that one mixed up the other day on the worksheet, I decided to put another video on there as well. And then the hummingbird and the flower, this one was the same as I think it was the moth and the flower the other day. People were mixing those two up, so I put in some more clips about that. Hummingbird and flower is mutualism because the flower gets pollinated. The hummingbird gets the nectar from the flower. The flower isn't being hurt by the nectar being gone, because the nectar is actually something that it produces specifically so that the hummingbird has something to go drink out of it. It's not actually like hurting the flower by drinking the nectar. That is there. And those are the kind of the review of what happened last week with the videos there. The grades for that should be going in somewhat shortly. This morning, this afternoon, or Monday morning, Monday afternoon. What we got going on today is another one of our pair decks. We're looking at our final topic of this year that we're going to cover here, and that is going to be our different cycles that happen on Earth. Now, usually we would talk about this during the week where we have Earth Week. We kind of had a mix-up in the schedule just because of how everything's happened, that it got pushed a week after Earth Day happened. But we're going to be talking about the cycles that happen on Earth. And we got 3 major cycles that we're going to cover: the water cycle, the carbon cycle, and the nitrogen cycle. Most of you are probably familiar with the water cycle, so there's probably not any new content there. maybe a little bit here or there, maybe a refresher course. The carbon cycle we actually really talked about earlier in the year when we talked about photosynthesis and respiration, how we take in oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide, where plants do the opposite for us. They take in the carbon dioxide and give us oxygen. So that's kind of a little bit of a refresher with a couple of tweaks added in, because there are other factors that go into the whole cycle itself. And then the final one, which is probably the newest one that you haven't heard of, is the nitrogen cycle. We put a little video at the end here to kind of go over some of the basis of the nitrogen cycle. So take a look at that in order for you to get full on everything. And just like all the other Pear Decks, you can see that there's 11 slides with today. The first slide here had nothing a part of it, so that's why I started on the other one. We're just talking about the cycles. But remember, put your answers here. As soon as you put your answers there, the thing will turn into a check mark. Boom. That's how you know that you're done with it. And then you just continue on with the questions and with the answers going on with it. There is a couple where you'll have to draw because these are cycles, so usually they're very picturesque. So we got a couple of pictures that you can end up drawing there for them. We got the carbon cycle going on in there. Remember, that's very similar to how our carbon cycle stuff actually works that we talked about before. We've got the carbon cycle going on in there. A couple of things to look at, which we've actually kind of drew earlier in the year, but we use the elements involved with it. This time I just want you to draw like, actual creatures with it. And then we got the nitrogen cycle. Nitrogen cycle is the newest one probably that you might not have heard of before. Well, you've probably heard of nitrogen, but not the nitrogen cycle. So take a look at this one. Like I said, there is a nice little video. That's this rabbit. If you click on that, that's going to start playing the video. So you'll need to watch that video. I'm also going to put this video into the classroom just in case for whatever reason it is not playing off of the video that is here for you. It is going to be available on the classroom as well. And then you're finishing it off with another picture. So you've got 3 cycles to look at today. We're going to look at them, all of them, in an overview. And then here's how the rest of the week is actually going to work. Tuesday, you're going to focus on the water cycle. Thursday, we're going to focus on the carbon cycle. And then Friday, for your final thing that you'll have to do that is going to be graded, you are going to get your nitrogen cycle, and we're going to focus on that. And then we'll wrap everything up then. There's still going to be more things to come next week. We're going to take a look at our virtual frog dissection stuff that we have going on. So we'll do some stuff with virtually frog dissecting, because that's usually the last thing that we do of the year is dissect. But since we can't do it in person, we've tried our best to come up with a solution to still try to get you to dissect. So hopefully that'll be some interest, kind of keep you going on some of that stuff there. Well, that's for Monday. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask. Make sure you check out Mr. Hoffman's emails for everything. And like always, it is a great day to be a junior potter.